Hello, and welcome to our latest episode of What's on the Horizon. I'm Lori Sharonbrock here with Chris Schucker of Digital Horizons, and I want to talk about garage doors. It's something I don't think we've talked about at all, but I assume those can be brought into a home automation system as well. Is that easy to do? Hard?
Yeah.
What do you guys use?
Yeah, it is, and you know, we don't actually get involved with anything actual garage door related or opener related. But one of the more popular openers is from Chamberlain or LiftMaster.
Sure.
And they have a service called MyQ. I don't know why they came up with that or how the tie-in is, but I'm sure there's a good reason. But basically it's a cloud service that they offer that links their garage doors, links their garage doors to, you know, an account that you access on your phone or computer or tablet or whatever. And you can utilize MyQ either by having it integrated into the opener that you've purchased, which is how they do it now by default with new openers, or you can adapt an old opener through kind of like a little interface to kind of tying the older doors to MyQ. And what it does basically is it just gives you the ability to remotely open and close your garage doors. And then what I think is great about it, and obviously opening and closing is nice, but it will give you notifications if the door is left open for a period of time.
Yeah.
Which is nice because, you know, when you're driving away, it's happened to me a number of times. You go to close the door, you think it closes, and it doesn't. And either because it went on the track and something stopped the track,
right,
or you just forgot, which usually what happens for me. And I'll get home and it's like, my door's open. Did I forget?
I know.
Somebody in it?
We've done that.
So it solves that by letting you know it was left open, and then you can remotely close it. But then if you want to remotely open it for somebody to get into the house or to drop a package off or do something like that, you can do that. And so when it's built into the opener, it uses Wi-Fi to connect. I wish they had a wired version. I wish we could do a pre-wire and get a hardwired network connection to it. But Chamberlain or LiftMaster, if you're listening, go ahead and spend that extra money that I know you won't on your hardware to enable that. Or if you have an older opener, there's a module that does have a wired port that gets wired back to the network and then requires power with a wall brick. And so during a pre-wire, back when those were common and they weren't built into the garage doors, or MyQ wasn't built into the garage doors, we could pre-wire for that remote opener and we would power it remotely and then wire it into the network, and it was great. But now that they're building it in, you can't use those. And so you need to get Wi-Fi to the garage, which if we're not involved, your Wi-Fi signal for the garage probably won't be super great.
Terrible.
So what we often do is just general coverage for the home, including the garage, because people come home and they sit in the garage and they sit on their phone and they don't come inside the house immediately. Sometimes it's that peaceful place where you aren't bombarded by all the responsibilities in the home after leaving responsibilities of work. So we'll put a wireless access point in the garage for that, but then also to get the openers on the network.
Sure.
And then once they're on the network, then that's all that's needed. And they do have, if you've watched a previous talk, we talked about Sonos a little bit.
Yep.
And Sonos, like Chamberlain or LiftMaster, or I should say Chamberlain and LiftMaster, like Sonos, limits some of the integration capabilities with third-party automation platforms like what we use, Control4, Crestron, things like that. So we don't have a lot of direct access to integrating their stuff. There's things that we can do, but it requires kind of like sidestepping some things.
Sure.
So it can be tied in, but oftentimes it's just kind of like a standalone thing. But yeah, it's a great service that we often help clients utilize, and they love it.
And can you do like all of the garage doors for a home? So for example, in our home, we have a 2-car garage, so there's 2 there, and then we have we call it the pole shed that's on our property but away a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have one there. I mean, is that a limitation of the
There's
Wi-Fi?
No
there's nothing.
In that case, it would be a Wi-Fi thing. You would need to get some sort of network out there to do it. But on your account, I mean, maybe there's a limitation, but we've not seen a quantity to be a limitation. But the limitation that we've run into recently is when there's multiple homes.
Okay.
And so you can't, with one account, you can't have multiple properties yet listed under there.
Okay.
So the workaround for it is actually to create a separate account per property. And then what you do is within the accounts, you basically cross-share doors. So, and there's a couple different ways you can do this, and it's really preference, but you can either cross-share. So let's say you have a lake home and maybe a home in Minneapolis.
Sure.
You can create an account for down there, create an account for up here, and then in both accounts, share the doors like you were sharing it with a friend or, somebody who might gain access to the house, and then just open the account for the property that you're at, or just only use one account and just, view it that way. Yeah. So there's not really a right or wrong way, but that's currently the workaround. Knowing how they work, I don't see that changing anytime soon because, hey, we have a solution. Here's the fix, instead of just like giving you the ability to have multiple properties. It's kind of like when we do security systems, we use Honeywell equipment, and their interface to their system is called Total Connect is the app. And within Total Connect, there's literally a drop down. If you have multiple properties, you just go, here's Lake Home, here's City's Home, or Fargo, or Duluth, or whatever. Right. And then once you select that, it just loads that system. And there's no reason that Chamberlain or LiftMaster couldn't offer that as well. It just, they have to devote resources on their programming team to make it happen. And they're only going to do that if they have, they feel that there's a
good ROI,
financial return for doing it. But because probably 95 or 90% of, I'm just throwing guesses out there of how many people have a primary residence with MyQ versus multiple, it's probably pretty low priority, and I get that, but it's it could be better. Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty handy way to do that. I know we've done that exact thing, or like, the sensor at the bottom gets bumped, and so again, you think you got it, and you drove away, like it's 95% there, but it's actually that most critical.
Yeah, you're driving away, checking your rearview mirror, and it's down. Cool, I don't have to think about it, and then it's up.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you the number of times we've ended up doing that. Well, and another scenario that I think is probably nice is a scenario we've run into too, if we've been away and we need to let someone have access to our house, like we don't do keys or anything like that. It's easy to say, okay, father-in-law is driving to the house, let him into the house this way. That way we can still maintain security, but have remote access to our own home that way. I'd imagine that's pretty common too. And then not having to, figure out where your opener is.
Give a code or create a code and all that stuff.
Annoying to keep track of. So thank you for that explanation. That's really good. And if you guys are curious about how that works or want more information on MyQ, we've put some links down below the video, or you can contact the team here. They're really good at answering those questions and helping you find a solution that'll work. So thank you for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next time.